Hey everyone. Well, I just wanted to pop on here and talk about the philosophy of doing whatever it takes. I mean, I don't think anybody's new to that philosophy per se, uh, but if you're new to my community, and we've had a lot of new people join my community or follow me on LinkedIn or connect with me on LinkedIn, as well as Facebook and Instagram. So I wanted to make sure that we spent a little bit of time talking about why it's important to adopt that mindset of doing whatever it takes. So, in order to do that, I'm going to give you a little bit of a history on how I even came up with uh, dedicating a day, which is Wednesday, to whatever it takes. And that is because I have a mentor, long time mentor of mine. And I noticed when we were on calls, and specifically group calls, okay, when we would ask him a question, then he would respond with the best answer. And in a lot of cases, he would say, and do whatever it takes, or do whatever it takes. And it took me a little while to really kind of figure out what does whatever it takes mean, you know, specifically. And then when I figured that out, that's why I said I've got to dedicate a day of Wednesday, being Wednesday of whatever it takes. And I actually even have quote cards that I made in honor of my mentor who really gave me this idea. But doing whatever it takes means that you will go above and beyond to really stay focused on whatever that one result is. And we have to do it in the sense of, making sure that we're not spinning our wheels. That's super important. You want to be intentional to make sure that you're doing whatever it takes, but that you are also making sure that what depending on what your role is, you know, is your role to close sales? Is your role to grow revenue? Is your role to maximize profits? So when we talk about doing whatever it takes, it means keeping in mind what the big goal is. What's the end result? What's the outcome that your client is seeking that you can help them with? And I thought it was really super important that my mentor taught us this, and said, or do whatever it takes, because this is not, we don't, in today's world, sometimes there aren't even actual like textbooks, right? A lot of times, the book or the course material may just be available electronically online. So, regardless, my point is that there is not an exact formula. You can follow frameworks that we teach you for sales to make sure that you're getting the leads, that the leads that are qualified are converting appropriately, right? Uh, and then, of course, then from the conversions, you would want to be doing the fulfillment if you just look at those three pillars. But, depending on what your structure is, you may have five pillars that you're looking at. But to keep it simple, we're looking at leads, conversions, and fulfillment, but understanding that, it is not always, and most often it's not at all, a straight line. There will be twists and turns. There will be things come up. that you didn't expect. There will be things that come up that your client didn't expect. So, making sure that you have that mindset that you'll do whatever it takes is a key, because that also keeps you moving forward. And it also, I feel, really is uplifting. So please let me know what your thoughts are on this. Do you have a whatever it takes mindset when it comes to helping your clients? Now, let me clarify that whether you're working on KPIs, you've got certain quotas, maybe you have part of your earnings are commission. This, doing whatever it takes, does not mean that you are in all cases responsible for your client's results. You have to get that clarified, and that is super important, because I feel that, especially in the coaching world and maybe even in the consulting world too. I mean, I know it's very similar, but I have struggled with taking on too much responsibility, and that is not advisable. So, doing whatever it takes means doing whatever it takes within your world, within your capabilities. But it doesn't necessarily mean doing the work for the client unless they are, unless that's part of the agreement, unless they are paying for that. Because, I can tell you that a couple of the mistakes that I made early on, which I do not advise that you do, I would go above and beyond, which again, like I said, that can be, encompassed in the whatever it takes. But I want to encourage you to make sure that you are not doing a lot of extra things that are not included in the terms of service or in the deliverables. Okay, because when you start doing things that are not included within the terms of service, first of all, you that is more stress on you. Secondly, most cases you shouldn't be doing it, because in today's world we need to be mindful of making sure that we're doing everything, that of course we're doing whatever it takes within the terms of service, within the agreement. If something has to be adjusted within that agreement, then we need to make sure that we get whoever's involved from the legal perspective, so that the contract or the service agreement is properly amended. Just to clarify, I'm not giving any kind of legal advice here. My concern is for you. And while we talk about having that whatever it takes mindset, you also need to make sure that you don't open yourself up to some unknown liability. And most importantly, that you don't stress yourself out trying to do things that your client should be doing. Let me give you an example before we wrap up here. Early on, one of my clients was having a lot of resistance to making prospecting calls. Okay. And, we would try different things. Of course, she would show up and we would do coaching calls together. We would do role plays together. So, I started making some calls, and that wasn't part of the agreement. But I was just trying to do it to try to nudge her along, because what I saw was someone that had phenomenal experience, a business owner, advanced degree. She had a PhD. Actually she had 2 degrees, and but she did hesitate when it came to talking with prospects or inviting prospects to become coaching clients. She had hired me to help her build her coaching practice. Now, I certainly, you know, tried to get her doing it on her own. But then I guess part of it was I was getting a little bit frustrated because I wanted to make sure that she was able to start getting coaching clients. And early on, I thought, well, what does it really matter if uh, I'll go ahead and make that call because actually she'd even ask, what could was there any way that I could call the chambers? Was there any way that I could call this one prospect? And the fractional sales and marketing was not in the agreement at that time. Uh, I didn't really market myself that way. Like I said, this was early on. So what I was doing was teaching a framework, an event model, and what I had used to gather leads and close leads and fulfill those clients. But obviously, once I what was happening though was when I was calling, then that took the hook off her, and it was super important that she learned and started getting comfortable calling and prospecting, or of course, getting someone else on her team was an idea too. But I noticed that she would shut down sometimes when it came to talking about you know herself or how she was going to enroll people. So I'm telling you this because I do not want you to do things that are outside that scope of work without talking about it. Now, if you want to add it in, then have that discussion. But do not put that other, unneeded stress on your shoulders. If that is not agreed upon deliverable, then that client needs to do what they're supposed to be doing, which is reaching out, which is, working on their pipeline. And of course, we're here to support people, but in hindsight, me looking back, you know, doing the work for them is not the answer, clearly. So I share that with you. So hopefully you can learn from my mistakes. Because in today's world, it's certainly not advisable to do that because let's just say hypothetically, without getting into too many details, you called or there was some kind of misrepresentation or some miscommunication, then that could open you up to an unknown liability when you had good intentions. But of course, sometimes that it doesn't, it ends up causing more trouble than even though your intentions were pure. So please do yourself a favor, make sure that whatever the agreement is that you're delivering it, if if it is a service that you're selling, that all of the check marks are filled in, and the service is delivered. But if you're going to do a bonus or offer a bonus, of course that's a great thing, but have that documented so that there are no miscommunications. Or sometimes people can kind of, if they're not familiar with your service offering, they might misconstrue it, or perhaps they think something's included that's not. So the more clarity that you can offer up front, and if something is not part of your terms of service, don't hesitate to just acknowledge that. And if it is something that's super important to them, that would be like what we would say, like a deal breaker or cause you to not move forward, then of course you can renegotiate. You can go back to your team. You can figure out what would the amended amount be and then let them know, the client. But don't just do it. Don't just add something on because you're being nice or because you feel bad for them, because it could end up coming back to you in a not so good way. All right. So I'd love to know if anyone has any questions. I would love to know what your thought is on whatever it takes. I mean, what does it really mean to you? And do you do whatever it takes? It's important to have boundaries. Like I said, super important, because we need to make sure that we are protecting ourselves. We need to make sure we're protecting our entity, our clients. We want full disclosure, full transparency, but it is super important that you follow the terms of service and the deliverables. And, because let's say you put something else in there, like I said, if you're doing bonuses, make sure everything is just, disclosed on the agreement. But if you include something on there that nobody knew about, that's a nice gesture. However, it can cause problems, like especially if it's something like it malfunctions, something like that, then you put that in there and it just can cause more problems. So that's the message for today. Checking in to see, what are your thoughts on whatever it takes? Do you also enforce that in your business or in your life? And if so, how? Please do note that I made sure that the microphone was on today. If you could see me, which I know you can't because I don't have the video on right now. I have an external camera, and it's not available at the moment. So I decided to just do it audio. But if you could see me, I'd be patting myself on my shoulders right now, both shoulders, because I did a Truth Tuesday live stream a few weeks ago. I was talking about how every day is not about rainbows and ponies, and lo and behold, my microphone was off. Not good. So I will be repeating that actually in the very near future. I definitely want to do a live stream on that. I'd love to bring people on too and see what your thoughts are about that. But I was so disappointed when someone said, "I cannot hear you," and I thought, "Oh my gosh, I don't even know how that happens," because I didn't turn it off, but I have an external microphone as well. So what I think happened was the external microphone just kind of, popped on there, and then that turned off the laptop. That's what I think happened. But anyways, it's okay, because we're all going to have these technology challenges, and we just really just need to do whatever it takes to get the information out to people, to make sure that we're showing up and that we're being consistent. And that's really it. We're not looking to be perfect. We're not looking to, have every single recording and every video edited. I don't even do that anymore. I have some edited, but I don't have every single one because when I did, it took too long and it was just way too many delays. And I made the decision to be like, hey, you know what? If this is important, then I need to make sure that this information gets out to my community. And if if there are a couple mistakes, or if I was, stuttering, or the dog was barking, so be it. People will understand. It's most important that you get the information out to your people in a consistent manner. So don't hesitate. This is also your cue, your nudge to do some live streams. Because if people don't hear you and people don't see you, sometimes nobody can see me right now, but you will not earn the revenue and recognition that you should be earning. It just won't happen, because we are in a world now where we're vying for attention. And I don't mean that in a needy way. I mean, it's just because there is so much out there. There are so many different, I mean, think about the social media platforms. There are so many different avenues, so many different repositories that people can go to and visit online to learn things. So, we are in a world and operating in a world where we truly need to show up, like I said, consistently. But we need to earn the time of people. We need to earn the time of people, because if someone spends time with us, and if they can't get their time back, they can't get a refund for their time. Same with you. Be mindful of where you're spending your time, because you can't get that time back. You can't be like, oh, I'll just do a redo. Oh, well, mm, I wish I wouldn't have listened to that podcast. Be mindful and intentional. And the last thing I'll say about this is, one of the things that I found that is very helpful, and I'll do another session on this at some point, but is time blocking. So be mindful of how much time. This is totally not business related, but be mindful of how much time you're spending folding clothes. Okay. Like for me, I like to do it early in the morning, but I set my timer. So whatever I'm doing, if I'm doing chores, if I'm baking a casserole, for my daughter's breakfast, whatever I'm doing, I set my alarm for 15-minute increments so that I can get as much done as possible in those 15 minutes. And I do that as well with social media. So be intentional. If you don't already have the mindset of whatever it takes, I would encourage you to adopt that. But of course, that doesn't mean that you don't have boundaries. Okay. You need to have boundaries. You need to have clear goals, clear intentions, so that the time that you do spend doing whatever it takes, you get a return on it. You just don't go randomly out there, giving your time to everyone and hoping that you're going to be able to build your business, or hoping that you're going to be able to make your quota. Doesn't work that way. Everything has to be intentional. I hope this was helpful. Please share your thoughts. I'm always interested to hear what you're thinking. And like I said at the beginning, I've been super excited to welcome a lot of new people into the Happy Executive community. And my goal is to be able to add some thoughts, some insights, get you excited about maybe some new approaches to sales, networking, coaching. But I want you to meet your goals. I want you to exceed your goals, because life is meant to be lived in a thriving fashion. It is not about surviving, nor is it about merely existing. So let's see what we can do together to get you to say you're thriving. My name's Victoria Huff. I'm the founder of thehappyexecutive.com, and we help people be heard, get seen, and earn more revenue and recognition. Love to help you as well. So, have a lovely, lovely rest of your day. And I will look forward to talking with everyone soon. Please do comment on this post and let me know what your thoughts